Hello, guys. So we're here with Matt Klosterman, and this month's topic of our CAP video is going to be about college camps and visits and how to maximize their effectiveness. Matt's got a lot of experience with this, having three kids that are playing in college or played in college. So yeah, we're gonna give a little bit of advice on this, and hopefully, we're better equipped then as we head into kind of the busy camp season in the wintertime, with a plan of action as well.
The first thing that I want to bring to your attention is this idea of going and doing stuff, especially early in your career. Right now is probably the most exciting time of the year to go and watch college games because it's the postseason. And there are lots of teams in Chicagoland who are still playing and will be for the next week or two. If you haven't gone out and seen college games, or if you have a little bit of free time right now, strongly encourage you to take advantage and go see some games right now. And that's really part of this idea of going to see some initial campus visits. Some of those could be drive-throughs where you're just checking out a school while you're at a tournament. Some could be with an admissions office. Kind of the same for initial camps. Like some of these could be select ID events through Rush. Some are going to be college camps and just trying to get your feet wet and get some basic background knowledge of what it's like to be on a college visit or go to a college ID camp so that when you get down to some of those lower bullet points where you're going on preferred school visits, visiting the schools that you're actually interested in or going to an ID camp where you're really interested in playing there, you want to already have the knowledge of how to prepare yourself for that, how to show well, how to interact professionally and appropriately with coaches and have fun while still being really confident and playing your best. And that just happens with experience. So making sure that you're getting some of that experience early on, and that includes watching some college games.
Yeah, for sure. I think to your point, like there are so many different camps that you can attend, right? There are like the third party camp companies, like Exact or college CCSC, I think it is. There are some of like the big, huge camps like
Yep.
Northwestern or
Yep.
Northern Illinois offer, which are going to offer a little bit of a different, more of a different experience than going to like a smaller D3 school and doing like their 1 day, 3 hour, 6 hour camp. So yeah, I think trying to attend a variety of these, and then figuring out how you can perform the best at each of them, is definitely a beneficial situation. All right, cool. So next, maybe talk, Matt, a little bit about what to expect with a visit where you're kind of
Yeah.
narrowing down your short list, and these are some of the schools that you really
Yeah.
are interested in.
So when we say preferred school visits, these are the schools that you're actually interested in, that you think going into it, I might want to go here. And yeah, you might still be checking these out. So on a typical visit, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but things like a campus tour, talking with the admissions counselor about how to get accepted in financial aid, meeting with players, potentially maybe meeting with other campus personnel if there's a particular major or some other aspect of campus you're interested in. And then also meeting with the coaches and maybe, if they're playing or practicing, maybe watching some of that sometimes too. Those are the things that you would typically expect on a campus visit, especially if the coach is setting it up. I think probably the biggest thing for players is you need to prepare to be the one who's in charge of that interaction. So when you're talking with the coach, when you're talking with the admissions counselor, when you're talking with the tour guide, being prepared to interact appropriately yourself. Parents can help, but if parents take over, that's for some coaches that can be a red flag, particularly if it leads to a not so nice interaction between the players and their parents. So it is important for parents and players both to kind of prepare to have phone calls or emails or texts as well as getting ready to talk with those people in person. There are some links there, and we'll share this There's links for emails as well as questions for a recruiting visit. I think it's a super good idea before you go on campus for players to put a note on their phone with all the questions they have. And if you make it like a checklist, just check them off as you go before you move on from the admissions counselor. Make sure you get all your questions answered, and the same thing with everybody else you talk to.
Yeah, that's a really good point of advice because there are a lot of times where we're walking through campus, right, with a recruit, and we might be walking for like a half hour or so. So I'll obviously lead the conversation and I'll talk a good amount, but I also want to like hear from the recruit and I want to hear like what is important to them. So like when I ask like, hey, what questions do you have for me? And then I get like crickets back, it's like, ugh, great.
It's
So you
I
obviously
think
need to
it's
prepare.
Yeah. Well, and
Or
especially for quieter kids, having the list of questions ahead of time like makes it way easier when when the coach, to Tim's point, when they say, do you have any questions, you pull out the note on your phone and you go, actually, could you tell me about this? And a lot of those questions are going to be well thought out and articulate questions that showcase you as somebody who's very thoughtful, right, instead of saying nothing, which makes you seem like you haven't prepared, right? And you only get one chance to make a first impression, so make sure that you've done enough homework to prepare and make a good first impression.
yeah, it'll help you if you have a little bit of nerves, right? Because that's probably normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so camps. So we've got obviously, or we have a camp upcoming this Sunday. So I run three camps per year. I run one in November, one in March, and one in June. And these are like for us, these are one of the main ways that we are identifying players who are serious about our program. Because if they're taking the time to register for our camp. Obviously, you have to pay a small amount of money for it, but take the time to come to campus and then play in front of us. And if they and you play well, like it shows that you're pretty serious in coming to our school. So camps are definitely a great way to show your interest and get recruited, especially at kind of the D3 schools that a lot of our players go to at Rush. So I think
And
they're really valuable.
and I think that's true even all the way up to top Division 1 schools. I think the American kids who they recruit, a lot of times like they're trying to decide between a couple of different people, and their interaction with you on the field carries a ton of weight even if they've seen you play with your club team, they've seen you maybe with your high school team, they've watched your video. What they see themselves with their own eyes and their interactions with you, how you receive feedback, how you handle different situations, right? It makes a real impact on them. And keep in mind that that impression starts from the time you get there until the time you leave. Sometimes the thing that'll sell you on somebody is how they interact with somebody else, like in the stands, or when you show up and when you leave, and how you're treating the maintenance guy. Like those things, you might not recognize it, but there are a lot of coaches who they're paying attention to every little thing, and sometimes those little things are the thing that sell them on that you're the right person, that's going to make their program better.
Awesome. Good advice. Um, yeah, so reaching out in advance. And Matt, this you mean reaching out in advance of a camp, correct?
Yeah, or in advance of a college visit too. If the day before you want to go visit campus, you reach out, that might not always be received super well unless there's a really good reason for it. Most of the time, as with camps and visits, like you want to try and get their attention in a positive way. So reaching out in advance, couple weeks before or week before, like saying, "Hey, I'm interested. Here's a little bit about me," so that the coaches have time to be able to read through your email, look at your highlight video and kind of digest that so that it's not so rushed. That can make a really big difference. And I can tell you that there are lots of players who I coached as a college coach who I initially maybe wasn't super excited about, but their email, I was like, okay, like this seems like a nice kid, or and they came to camp And I was like, oh, they really surprised me in a positive way. And maybe the second time they came to a camp for us, I was looking for them because I had this positive interaction with them before. And some of that is through the communication that you make ahead of time.
Awesome. Yeah, good advice. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of when I get this happens way too often, but when somebody's like, "Hey, I'm coming on campus today. Do you have time to meet with me at 11 a.m.?" And I'm like, I've got other things going on.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I can't just clear my whole schedule. So yeah, reaching out in advance is super helpful.
Um, I think when you start getting down to like trying to make a smaller list, narrowing your list, and then looking to attend those schools' ID camps. One of the things that's nice about one day or small ID camps is that there's only so many people there, so you have a much better chance of getting noticed. If there's 300 people at a camp, you could have the day of your life and maybe nobody ever sees. If there's 60 people there and you have the day of your life, probably all the coaches that are there are going to notice. And so that really is to your benefit, gives you better exposure, and you have more chances to have personal interactions with the coaches, where they're coaching you up, you're responding and showing that you're coachable. I do think it's important to be skeptical of third party or big camps. They can be fun, and you might be able to connect with specific coaches if you go in with the mindset, oh, I want to reach out to Tim Dean and to, this XYZ camp ahead of time and let them know, hey, I really want to be with Tim Dean. That can still be a good interaction. But if you just show up and go, hey, I'm going to get seen, there's all these, big time coaches here. They might be there, but they might actually be looking to recruit so much when they're there. So even though like it sounds like in theory it's good exposure, I think sometimes for the money, sometimes those coaches are there to collect a paycheck and they're not really looking to recruit. They'll watch you if you put yourself in front of them, but you really have to kind of take the initiative to reach out for that to be a good recruiting tool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes those big third party camps, they're like kind of maybe something okay to start with, but if we're
Yeah, I agree.
relying on those like in our senior year,
Yeah,
we probably missed a couple steps along the way.
totally agree.
All right, cool. Social media. Whew. Talk to me
Yeah,
about social media.
I think like there's two things. One, follow schools and programs that you're interested in. Some schools they don't have a huge social media following, but most of them you're going to learn a lot about the program, and some of them do a great job of showing you exactly what the program is like. I'll give you an example. My oldest son played at Milwaukee School of Engineering, right? Their coach is a funny, quirky guy, and he videos himself as he's walking to campus because he walks to campus from his house. And they're hilarious. But you really learn what this guy is like as a person, and when you then, watch their, kind of watch their practice or their games, you'd get a really good feel for, oh, this is what this program's all about. Um, Likewise, I think when you're sharing your, putting stuff on your social media, like adding your highlights from Huddle can be great. Try and make sure you do consider that whatever you put on your social media is out there for everyone. And there are definitely players who get unrecruited for things they put on their social media accounts. It can show a lack of judgment, or it can show a real lot of character, depending on, what you put out there, what you like. And so just be aware that they do research on you too. And so don't neglect it. One of the other things I would say is Rush is a huge network, and there are lots of people from Chicago Rush at lots of different schools, right? Like Tim's at Elmhurst. I just mentioned MSOE, but there are lots and lots of other Rush players who are around. Even if you don't know them yourself, being able to reference, oh, this is a Chicago Rush player, like they played for Coach Tim, or like, they played for my club, even though they're a couple years older. That can be a good way to connect. That's called networking. And networking is an important way to try and, get ahead, whether it's college soccer or anything else. The college soccer world is really small and interconnected. and those connections can help you to get in with a program. And they can help you to learn a lot about those programs too. So if you say, hey, I heard this is a rush player you have on your team, is there any way I could get in touch with them? Maybe when you visit campus, they might give you a little bit more of a real feel for what it's like to be there. If you're able to connect with somebody who you have that in common with.
Yeah, good advice. I know that's actually one of the ways we get a lot of players actually is
Yeah.
like current players on our team have played pickup leagues or played with a player at some point or another, and they know about our school through there, and they end up coming because they've got that connection or that was
Yeah.
the initial connection. So
It's amazing how often like a friend recommends a friend. So it's like somebody that maybe you knew through somebody else, but that's how you end up making that connection and that's how you end up getting onto a team.
yeah.
Those are just some examples of some recent Rush alums and coaches from some places where we've had different connections, right? So some ideas of local places that you might want to check out. Last, and Tim, I'll kind of say a couple things and then let you respond to this. But camp performance keys. Um, Playing good at camp is a specific skill, right? Like having confidence, knowing what you need to do, how to interact with new players and new coaches in a new environment. You have to get used to that idea so that you can be good at it when it matters. Somebody's always watching. All the little things do matter. Arrive early, be a good teammate, use feedback and be coachable, be respectful, and thank everyone, right? Being a good teammate, you cannot recognize enough how important that is to coaches. Nobody wants the kid who's going to be a bad teammate. It makes it not fun for everybody else, and
I was just
it's
say
a red flag.
if you are big timing players at a camp who you don't know, that shows like your lack of respect for players, and you're pretty much getting crossed off the list.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good you are. Like we don't want to coach players like that.
Now, one of the things that, when you think, okay, what is the right attitude then? Come into the camp trying to convince the coach that you should start, not that they should pay attention to you. A lot of the things that we see from players who do the wrong things are, for instance, if you see a center back who does six step overs, that's not what you want from a center back. And a lot of times players think, "Oh, I'm trying to show them." But if you're trying to say, if I was already on this team and I'm trying to show them I should be a starting center back, you would never do that. That's if you're a winger, maybe that is how you play, but you've got to go out with the confidence to show them, okay, I'm going to play my position, I'm going to play it great, I'm going to play to my strengths, but I'm not going to do a bunch of things that I don't do, right? And you have to be able to play unafraid to kind of go out and just be yourself and play great at your position and do the things that you do instead of trying to do a bunch of things that you think are flashy that are going to get attention because some of that attention might not be the right attention. And just kind of that idea of I'm going to go out there and convince the coach that I should be a starter on a team I've already made kind of puts you in that right kind of frame of mind that like, oh, I'm going to be serious but fun. I'm going to have the right mentality. I'm going to treat my teammates right, but I'm going to play hard and show them what I got.
I think like to that point, I really look at players who are like really competitive, like and hate losing, and like just seem to give that little bit of extra effort and actually care on whether their team wins or loses in a basic possession game or a basic small-sided game. I think that shows a lot of character, and it's something that I really want in players in our program, because it makes training more fun. It makes it more game-like. It makes it just a better environment to be around.
Yep.
Awesome. Last slide then.
Yep. Last one. I think when you're at camp, it's a great opportunity to evaluate your own level, right? So where are you at? Are you at the level of this team? Are you, are they better than you? Where maybe you would struggle there. Could you make the roster, but maybe it would be tough, to get playing time? Maybe, the level of this team is not at your level. Maybe they're below you and you need to look somewhere else. A couple of ways to figure that out before camp: research the roster, watch some of the highlights of their games, or watch some, even just 10 minutes of a game here or there, like while you're, in the car if your parents are driving. How does the team play? What do they value? What are the traits that they value? Do they have roster position openings? So that when you talk to the coach, you can say, "Hey, I noticed you're graduating a couple of center backs, and I'm a center back. Are you, where are you at in your recruiting search?" Um, when you're at camp, play good, but also be aware of your interactions. What are the coaches looking for? A lot of times you'll notice, if you're paying attention, what they like. Sometimes they'll say it, sometimes it'll show in their body language, or how a couple of different coaches kind of talk about something that happened. Maybe it's when you're on the sideline, you notice that. Um, try and see, like, how are coaches reacting to other players' performances. Because it might give you an idea of, oh, okay, like, how am I doing? And what are the things that they value? After camp, do follow up, thank the coaches, ask for an honest assessment. If it's a 1 day camp, a lot of times, or any camp, to be honest, it's not going to be right at the camp most of the time, right? There are some coaches who do that, and they'll usually let you know that they're going to do that. If there's 60 or 100 people there, like, imagine, 100 one-on-one conversations, how long that would take. Like, but asking for feedback afterwards and realizing it's not going to be instantaneous, and then compare and reevaluate your performance and how you judged yourself with the feedback you get from that coach. A lot of the times, coaches will give you very honest feedback. There are some coaches who want you to come back to 10 camps so they can collect money. And so, be skeptical of false compliments. If there's something that you're like, that doesn't seem like me, like, maybe they just want you to come back again, right? But I think most of the time coaches are, when they're giving you one-on-one assessments, most of the time they're pretty straight on, and a lot of times, if you receive them with the right frame of mind, they can be really helpful for you in identifying what you're good at and what you can improve on.
Yeah, that's great advice, and I don't have a whole lot to add. Awesome. Well, Matt, thank you so much for this. I think this is really beneficial for our players, and hopefully, as we kind of head to into these camps and continue our college search, it is valuable, and we can kind of lean on this so that you can prepare yourself best for making the best college choice.
Yeah.
Any last things to add?
Really go out, see some games. Look for our next video next month is going to be about, your making your own videos, recruiting videos. So, just be looking for that, and kind of ready to work on that next.
Love it. Thanks, guys.